Our final item is for the board to approve an appropriation of 2021 American Rescue Plan Act funds to assist with recruitment and retention of certified sworn employees within Cobb County Public Safety and the Cobb County Sheriff's Office. And I'm joined in a tag team effort for this item by our Public Safety Director, Director Randy Crider, who's going to give you a little of the background, and then I'll wrap it into a bow.
Yeah, I think over conversations that I've had with all of you over the past, not just weeks, but I think months, as we have seen a challenge of recruiting and retaining certified and sworn staff within public safety and the Sheriff's Department. With that, we were having conversations with you all, and we got some direction to go out and talk to our people that currently work with us and also compile a survey with the details of why we've had people leave Cobb County Public Safety. And though there's been a variety of reasons, overwhelmingly it was focused on better pay and better benefits. And then second were just people getting out of the profession. And so recognizing that other jurisdictions around us were doing things that were getting some of our folks, let's just be real, we felt like we had to do something, put something of significance together to at least be a stopgap for until we can further look at the data that we collected to come up and be creative with ideas of what can we do long term to attract and retain certified and sworn staff within public safety and the Sheriff's Department. So in the agenda item, you see the amount of vacancies that we have in those 4 areas, also to include our 911. We've never experienced these types of vacancies before. And so as we approach this, obviously our challenge is how are we going to fund it? And walking the halls with you to talk about using ARPA funding, we felt like that this would be a good use of these dollars, understanding and being cognizant of the fact that there would be some ongoing costs. And so what we're asking for you to do is to allocate 2 years of ARPA funding to fund this entire program. However, come March or April, when you start seeing what additional funding sources that we may recognize, there's the opportunity that you may only have to fund half of what we have allocated for 24. And then in 25, you'll have to make that decision on where are we then to continue funding what we're putting in place. So we are very, very cognizant of the fact that we do not want to put a future board in an unfair situation, but we also recognize that we have this ARPA funding and that if we can use it fully for 1 year and then reevaluate come March or April to see if we may only need half of what we allocate for FY24 and years moving forward. So the recommendation that we have to you is there in front of you, and I'll turn it back over to Mr. Giese to state the recommendation. But as you can see in the numbers right now, since when we implement this in January, we will have been completed 1 full quarter of FY23, so you'll see that the funding for the remainder of FY23 is going to be less than what it is of FY24, and our one-time cost for items that's in this plan that are one-time costs will be for 23 only, and we will not have to pay for those again for 24, and that's 1.9 some odd millions of dollars as you have in the agenda item. So just wanted to give you a good background, and let me say this, I was very adamant that when we were putting this plan together that we take care of our current employees first, because those are the employees that have stuck with us. They've been loyal to Cobb County. We wanted to take care of them first. We didn't want to do something for new people coming in that overshadowed the commitment and loyalty that we have with our current employees. And so also we're going to revisit our lateral entry program to make it more of a true lateral entry program. We will go back and fix those current laterals that we have that have been here for several years now And that new lateral program will be in effect moving forward with some significant signing incentives for those laterals and non-laterals who may want to come to work with Cobb. So we've put together what we hope to be a very attractive plan to attract new people here, and by certainly we want to make sure that we try to retain the ones that we do have. So the plan is before you. We've met with all of you, and we understand that there was some funding, maybe not 100% in support of how we're funded. I'm not really 100% comfortable with how it's being funded either, but I do know that we as a county have to do something to make sure that we continue providing public safety for our residents, and I believe what we've put before you here is kind of a stopgap for hopefully some long-term solutions that we can come back and revisit for our employees. Mr. Giese.
And Commissioners, on the ARPA side of the house, which I'm dealing with frequently these days, at least one of you has registered concerns that we were depleting the entire public safety bucket in our guidance plan, and that is not the case. We have looked at some reserves in the ARPA account. I'm sure you don't remember back to April when it was approved, but there were 5 buckets: community health, public safety, county infrastructure, economic development, and support services. In that report, there was also a $12 million contingency. There was a $10 million revenue set aside, and then there was a $10 million administrative cost, which covers like Deloitte's help and things like that. This goes into the $12 million reserve, and it goes into $2 million out of the administrative cost. There was already $3.36 million identified for public safety recruitment and retention. So we take that in. And then it was approximately $3 million that we took off the top of the bucket of public safety itself, which leaves in excess of $10 million in the public safety bucket for projects that have been submitted. So we have not depleted the public safety account. When we start bringing those forward during hopefully January of 23, you will see public safety projects brought forward as well. So with all that we've given you, we ask that the Board of Commissioners approve an appropriation of 2021 American Rescue Plan Act funds in an amount of $20,642,172.11 from identified public safety and contingency allocations to assist with recruitment and retention of certified sworn employees within Cobb County Public Safety and Cobb County Sheriff's Office, which is project number 1.40 in our ARPA process. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions, and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
So moved as presented.
Second.
And discussion, please. Ms. Commander.
Jimmy, thank you. But I'd also like to thank the Cobb Local Firefighters Union, because I know they put a lot of time into the step and grade process, and I just appreciate their time and effort that they did taking with me to explain the steps. But I also think it's an important step for the county to show that we are willing to work with our employees to come to a resolution.
Yes, ma'am.
Richardson.
Ditto on the comments. Just one question for clarification under funding, where you kind of went through each of the bucket allocations. Does this need to be updated to reflect that? Because it just says ARPA contingency 14 million and then public safety allocation 6 million. Just for the book, is that?
I think it would be helpful to clarify.
Yeah, I just broke it down further than that when I was talking.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Yes,
you.
but
I just went a little deeper.
I'm in support of clarifying it further, because you share different buckets
Well, no,
that are more specified than
Sure.
the contingency.
Sure. I actually broke it down a little deeper, but I probably shouldn't have went that deep. But basically, we have several
I was going to ask, so I'm glad that you did.
When you deal with it every day, it becomes secondhand knowledge. We're bringing in 14 million from contingency accounts. One is the
You said
$12
two.
million contingency off the top, and then the 2 million Amen. You're good.
The chair won't want to hear the rest.
12 million from,
You want me to keep going? Okay, all right. The $12 million from the contingency account, which was our overall contingency, is $12 million.
okay. And then
2
I have
million.
2 million from,
$2 million from the administrative support contingency account that pays Deloitte. Even if the board chooses to go with a third year, we would still have this $2 million, so we're good there. So that's 12 and 2, 14.
okay.
In the public safety bucket, there was $3.36 million for recruitment and retention, so we're taking that. And then $3 million off the top of the public safety bucket, so that gives us our 6. Am I getting closer to,
Okay.
okay.
And we still have
Still
how
have,
much in the bucket for projects?
still have over $10 million in the public safety bucket for projects.
Now, my other question is gonna be, when we did the increases for public safety, there were some certified DA officers, and we have EMA certified. Are they not included in here?
Not
Or
certified.
What's the difference of the certified officers?
Well, you have certified in both, you had certified and non-certified in both police, fire, 911, and the sheriff's department. We have certifications, and I'll get with Cassie. I don't know of any certifications within her house, but we will look at those, and we will be able to absorb. You're only talking probably less than a handful.
Well, she only has a handful.
But I don't
in
think
her
any of her,
department.
I don't
But
think
she's
any of,
certified, isn't she?
I don't think any of Cassie's people will fit into this because they were affected by the comp and class study where these people were not.
What about the certified DA people that were included when we did the increase in public safety?
We will absorb them in this.
But they're not listed?
No, there's so few of those.
Well, I know, but I want to make sure they're included, and is that going to change the cost?
It will not change the cost. I'll work with the DA because they also were included in the comp and class.
Okay, well, it's confusing.
But then they're not,
The-
they're not part of it.
They're on step and grade. So they will continue on the step and grade increases, but they will not be a part of it.
Okay, well, you can tell the DA that. Okay.
I know this is something we need to do. I know this is something we need to do to be competitive.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've shared this before, and I'll share it again. I'm very concerned about us stepping outside of our general budgeting principle of using recurring funding with recurring expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
The ARPA dollars is not a recurring funding source. It's a one-time funding source. And you acknowledged at some point we're going to have to evaluate how we put this in our budget.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I just want to let the commissioners know I will be looking at next year's budget to see how we can incorporate it, and ask that we not wait until '25, because we will be doing to the next board what we have been saying has been done to us. We will be kicking a can of funding down the road, knowing that this is a cost we should be paying for and absorbing in our general fund today. We will be burdening a future board based on these actions when we know that this should be a general fund cost. I'm very concerned about that.
I understand.
So I appreciate what we're doing. Again, I know we need to be competitive, but I'm just sharing here, and I'll just ask, the clerks to put a note in, because that's how strongly I feel that we've got to get this into the general fund. That I will evaluate this in the budget proposal for the next fiscal year.
But you're asking for 2 years of ARPA.
Right now, this is my concern.
with a revisit in 1 year.
Yes, there you go. Yes, we're going to set aside for 2 years,
Right.
revisiting this for next year. You said that perfectly. I wish I could have said it that clearly when I spoke to you on the phone today, Jimmy.
Well, I thought that's what we talked about when
We
we
did.
discussed it.
Yeah, we did.
That's not how it's written in the agenda book, though.
You're-
In the agenda book, it doesn't have us evaluating this until the 2 years is over. And that's why. Okay, so revise the motion. I'm listening. Help me, please. I just want to make sure there's adequate support to put forward a motion that supports this agenda item with us evaluating how we incorporate this in the general fund for our FY '24 budget. Are you amenable to that? Okay.
I would just say to accept
This is
this on
FY
a
'25 budget.
for 2 years with the ARPA money, with a revisit in 1 year to see how to move forward with it being sustainable or incorporated.
Yes, I just want us to do it next year and not for it to occur.
Well, to revisit it, we may still need another year of ARPA that we have.
That's why we're encumbering the 2-year, whatever the amount is for 2 years. But
20 minutes.
I'm just asking, please let us seriously look at how we put this in the budget for next year.
And I'll say this, as we walked the halls, that was the conversations that we had, and almost all of you agreed that let's put it aside for 2 years, reevaluate when we get our first look at next
Okay.
year's digest, and then make that decision then on moving forward.
So an easy way just to incorporate that in the motion is, well, you can add that sentence that we will evaluate this in next year's budget. Okay. Do I need to make a formal change or revision to the motion?
If you're going to add that language, yes, you would.
Okay. So Commissioners, I amend the motion to add that language as was stated to the original motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, call the question. Was that a vote on just amending it, or was that a vote on the actual motion?
If there's a consensus to amend it, then that's okay. There seemed to be a general consensus to amend
Yeah.
it, so that was actually the vote on the motion itself.
Okay, as long as you perceive it as such, I want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.